Today's emotional bar rescue. Bar owner Doreen does her best to honor the legacy of her late father. But can she do it? We answer that question today here on the Bar Rescue After Show.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bar Rescue After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. This is your weekly recap of Bar Rescue, our favorite show on Paramount Network, a close second to Yellowstone.
I hear good things about Yellowstone.
Very good things. It's Taylor Sheridan, who is a twice Oscar-nominated writer now, making his way to TV. It's the golden age of TV, Kev.
It is the golden age of TV. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here, guys. As I mentioned, this is the Bar Rescue After Show. My name is Jeff Graham, and that voice you're hearing is my co-conspirator and captain, Kevin Onegaro.
And I will tell you, Bar Rescue is so good
Yes.
that it survives on Paramount.
You're right.
Because when they rebranded from Spike TV to Paramount, the idea was we want to be HBO.
Right.
We've got a library of content, and we want to make new content. And I think seeing the writing on the walls, everything's collapsing. They know that as Paramount, as a studio, is, you know, now that there's different laws in place, or the laws have gotten a lot looser now where everyone's kind of doing everything. You know, back in the day, they were pretty strict about splitting trusts up. Did you know that? I mean, movie theaters couldn't be owned by studios, and agents like WME or whatever, William Morris, couldn't also produce stuff. Now they are.
Oh, right.
Even though it's not legal, but no one, from what I understand, no one's really watching anything now anymore.
Right.
Like as far as watching the laws. But anyway, so now Paramount, if they're free to now have a platform they produce the stuff, put it right on their own platform, it's really smart. And as this all continues to collapse, you'll be able to go to a Paramount app and get all your best stuff.
Movies.
But they want to be HBO. They want, and somewhere between HBO and Netflix. And the fact that Bar Rescue, which is unscripted, survives and does so well and continues to grow, it says a lot about Bar Rescue and Jon Taffer.
I was going to say, it speaks to Taffer's genius, and it's interesting. HBO, some of the only unscripted content they have is that Hard Knocks NFL docuseries, and I feel like Paramount's sort of doing the same thing where they're leaning in. If they're going to go unscripted, they're leaning into their bread and butter unscripted.
Yeah.
And there's a reason. It's because Bar Rescue's great. And this week, as I mentioned, we are at the Buffalo City Bar and Grill in Florida, a relocated bar from Buffalo as an attempt to instill the culture of upstate New York in Florida. And emotional episode. Kev, I'm interested to hear what you thought overall of this episode of Bar Rescue.
I liked it because, you know, they continue to always kind of throw us curves. We've never seen this before.
No.
Where a bar broker comes in to sell the bar.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Me too.
I love it because as the show has evolved, I see Jon changing names less and less because he knows the owners are just going to change it back. So he's like, why bother? I swear in some instances he's keeping it. And then the other thing is, what I get frustrated is when we get these owners who kind of con Jon to come in and renovate the place. And then they're like, thanks, bitch. And they flip the bar. And I think that I love that it was Jon preemptively being like, you can't handle it. Clearly, like, this is way beyond you. Let's sell this,
right,
and let's make it nice so you can sell it for a pretty penny.
It speaks a lot to how big of a heart Jon has, because, you know, you could argue it made for a great episode. It was, I think, a savvy producing move, but you can argue why a decision like that could potentially throw into question the veracity of the show. But on the other hand, I think Jon actually championing the bar owner and offering this as an option shows that there is a level of realism to what he's doing.
Let me be cynical right now.
Yeah.
Is I would not be surprised if the producers did not know that she wanted out and she was trying to sell the bar. And to know it was... Anyway, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll ask when we have Jon on the show, let's ask him. But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't know going in that if this lady was just fed up after 2 years.
Right.
I mean, we've seen a lot of different owners. In terms of just being inept, this may be the most inept owner.
Incapable.
One of the most, yes.
Right.
We've seen crazy. This was somebody that was very emotional, hysterical.
Right.
It just practically speaking, didn't even know how to do the register, didn't know how to make drinks. I mean, nothing. I mean, so you can see with this thing, This was just going to put her in a grave.
Right. She wasn't prepared logistically, obviously. She didn't know how to run a bar, but it was also very clear that she was not prepared emotionally to run a business, you know? It was, and I can relate to this, right? There's real trauma that comes with grieving, and she had just lost her father, but Jon knew that and thought, there's only so much pushing I can do. At a certain point, I have to deal with...
Yeah, he knew. Again, I love how he pivots.
I know.
Like, he didn't go in, he waited until I think it was the recon where he finally laid into her a little bit. Said, you got to take some responsibility for this. It was nice because he didn't chop off any heads.
No, it was a very interesting episode in that way.
He was tough on people, but he didn't chop off any heads. I feel like, because you know what? The owner, they always say that, I hear it even in show business, that if people are happy on a movie set or happy on a TV show, it was the person who ran it. And if I think it's the same with businesses too. And I think that guy was very much like a Papa Bear. I think he was very lovable. His little band of misfits, probably he was the smart one who could fill in all the gaps for their like inadequacies. And they probably functioned in a pretty nice little way. And then when they lost him, obviously, that was it. They lost their captain, and it went down from there. But I love the episode. I love the curve. I love that we did this differently. And from what I hear, as they hopefully go on to produce new ones, they want to continue to push the envelope and keep changing things up.
I love it.
Which I think is great.
I think it's great. We will be getting into the full coverage of the episode, guys, but I also want to let you know that we also do have our Taffer Takeaway, which is the lesson that Jon teaches us in this episode. And as always, we will bring you news and gossip, which we call our bar rescue updates. And we do have some interesting updates about this bar.
I can't wait to hear.
All of that's coming up on the show, so make sure you stay tuned. Kev, one of the first things we see is your buddies helping us out on
That's
Recon.
Right.
If you guys follow Kevin Undergar on The Tomorrow Show, or even stay tuned on our networks, we have had Jim Norton and Sam Roberts here in our studio in various characters and capacities.
Yes.
But fun to see those guys.
Well, they're very, very dear friends, as Jon Taffer is. So I always try to bring my friends together because like attracts like. And so when Jon's gone and done their show, they all hit it off immediately. And Jon was like, yeah, just come down and do it. So they were excited. I called Sam on the way here, and I wasn't able to get through to him because I wanted to get more behind the scenes on what went on. I know he was so excited because he hosted SummerSlam last night, the pre-show for WWE, and he was like, wow, what a weekend to do SummerSlam and then also to be on Bar Rescue. He was pretty excited.
So much fun. And they did a nice job.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. I think I think Jon never wants to put people out, but when Marie and I do them, have done we're always like, no, we're all in. So meaning like we'll stay until, completion. We don't just do the open and then dart out.
Right, stick around.
We stick around to see the recon.
Well, it's fun.
The renovation. I'm sorry.
Yeah, do you say for the whole?
Yeah.
I love. You know what? Part of it is, Kevin, you're a nerd for production. You love this business.
You love it, yeah.
And when I first moved out here, before I got this job that I love, I did background acting on.
You learn a lot that way. I did too.
I learned how a set runs.
That's right.
It's obviously you've been working in the business for a long time, but I think any chance you get to embrace the opportunity to see a production close up, it's really valuable.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
But also I love the renovations too, and I like being around someone like Jon. I learn so much.
Yeah.
Even when I go and visit Sam and do Jim and Sam, sometimes I go and I'm on air, and then other times I just want to sit in the booth.
Yep. Absolutely.
And put on the headphones and I answer phone calls for them, and I'll bring other young talent that wants to see, and yeah.
Well, it was great. And of course, also joining Jim and Sam, we have Vic Vegas. Great to see Vic Vegas back. And we also have Alex Goody, who we've seen before, but not a ton.
Yeah, he's good. I like the hair, and he's pretty confident. He's assertive.
For sure.
He's good. And Vic Vega is an all-star in the kitchen. Vic Vega, we have to come up with our Vic Vega, Tiffany. Who's the other chef that?
Kevin Bledsoe.
Yeah, he's
God
amazing.
Bless.
That could be the big three.
Is that the big three?
Could be.
I also like
There's Nick too.
And I can't. This is Ryan. Ryan with the cool hair. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Top
he's
Chef
good too.
Ryan. Yeah.
A
lot of great. I mean, the nice thing is Jon's such a savvy producer that anyone and everyone he brings through both the kitchen and the bar is going to do a great job. I thought Alex Goody looked a bit like a Property Brother. I don't know if you got that.
Listen, don't get me started. I think half the experts Jon brings in, this is the whole of the show with them.
Right. I think so too.
I so think so. I have some ideas, but I always keep John's just so busy and overwhelmed. Like, John, corral these guys, get them under contract, do something else.
Good idea.
Because they're all so TV friendly.
Yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been like a restaurant rescue show just with all these. I don't know if that's the angle.
Well, there's Restaurant Impossible. There's other shows.
There are. It's competitive.
John did a pilot for one that ABC almost bought, and it was supposed to be. I think it was a celebrity. It was celebrities who want to open restaurants.
Oh, that's fun.
And he did a pilot, and it was really good. And it just didn't go through.
It's competitive. It's a competitive space, but John is the best, so we will see. All right. So after this, the thing I appreciated was once we go through the recon, I mentioned it briefly, but of course, Doreen's doing her best to honor her late father in this, by taking over this bar. She was vowed all of the responsibilities and ownership of the bar. And what I appreciated was right when John walked in, she was already emotionally broken.
Yeah,
there wasn't any space. Sometimes you have the bar owners, hey, John, good to see you. They try to put on a front.
And then sometimes you get the ones that go to the tears because they know it's an act of manipulation.
Right.
I've seen a lot of the women do that, a few of them anyway. And then with her, it was genuine. She's a very emotional lady. She's a broken lady. I'm sure the dad was probably the navigator in her life. He was the rudder. He was the rock.
Well, and they lost him in a tough way. It's not like it was a long-term
that's
sickness.
the worst. That is the worst.
Surprise
And then the
surgery.
husband, multiple strokes.
Yeah.
So she really was like...
She's been dealt a tough hand.
Yes, and just not equipped.
Yeah.
She just wasn't that person. I feel like someone like that needs a simple life.
Yes.
And a bar is so complex and so many layers.
Well, John did a really good job of approaching her sensitively. I think he knew this isn't someone to scream at, and instead he tried to pump her up and said, I understand you're in a tough place, but what would your father want? That's the way.
So I thought, right, and then I thought what she turned into, it reminded me of being a little kid, and I think I got my older brothers were like, you let that kid pick on you, and I just then turned around and marched down with both my fists clenched and just beat the crap out of the poor kid. It just went too far.
Yeah, 180.
Right, and I feel like hers was like, it was almost like John was like probably like, no. So wait, settle down. You all suck.
I know.
Yeah.
What the F do you think? Well, it was funny
you stole my money. All of you did.
Yeah.
It's just, it just went too far.
Watching them
Didn't
in the
you feel
car.
like that?
Well, John was a little bit like, oh, what have I created?
Yeah, right.
I've Dr. Frankenstein this girl a little bit.
Yeah.
The moment I loved was it wasn't her staff that got angry. It was one of the customers.
Yeah, who was awesome with the fingers.
Who came to defense of the staff.
Yeah.
Because she was calling out her staff, and then they got into
because why wouldn't she defend the staff? Because she probably gets all the free drinks.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God. Just some bar hag.
You know what I will say, too?
Why couldn't it be the old West, Jeff, where we could have like the swinging doors? No, and her body would just fly out. Fly out of the swinging doors, then throw her her cowboy hat out. Go.
I will say, though, the one element...
You're really going to defend the bar patron now, the bar rag?
I'm going to give it a shot.
Flipping off
it's
the owner.
It's a hot take. This is what
right.
the after show's for. I'm not going to necessarily defend her, but I understand her point of there is an element of if you're a manager... It's, part of it's being responsible for your staff. And she wasn't equipped to be able to do that.
She wasn't, but at the same time, giving away free drinks, that's basic. Do you know what I mean? You're giving away free drinks, which they clearly were,
right.
And they were massively overpouring. But to me, it wasn't because they were inept bartenders. They were
gaming the system.
Yes, and I think that's why the girl was, sticking up for her bros or her gals, because they're feeding that swine.
Well, I will say, that woman, did you catch it, that she was at the renovation?
Yeah, she was there. Yeah, of course.
I loved that moment.
Yeah, of course.
Seeing her there again.
It's just a regular, yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's like, I'm coming back. More TV time.
And by the way, and just another drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Just typical drunk.
I was like, she's back. She made it.
That's why Cheers always romanced everyone sitting at a bar. It usually is not the highest quality of people.
It's
people
true.
who go to the bar for a couple of drinks and some food, different. But the people that actually just are there every night with the sour puss on their face, taking the alcohol like it's medicine.
Yeah, the correlation of a regular bar goer and a very successful person is probably a pretty thin Venn diagram, right?
Pretty thin.
but I'm sure they're out there. If you're one of them, comment down below.
Yeah, please. Say I'm a multimillionaire and I go to a bar
every night.
Every night.
Okay, so we got to meet this cast of characters. Of course, we had Angel and Jimmy, but the primary focus was on this eccentric kitchen staff. My favorite is we're meeting everyone, and when we get to Bob, John goes, "What's your name?" And he goes, They call me Bob. Oh, jeez. Doesn't it make you wonder what his name is?
Yes, and then the poor guy probably lacked identity.
I know.
And I think really he was your classic misfit. That Bill, the dad, whatever the dad's name was, the late father and owner.
That's Frank.
Frank probably really took care of him.
Yeah, I know. And we see that.
Oh, it was so painful.
The one episode where the guy, very similar to They Call Me Bob, was living out in the trailer next to
same thing.
Same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I did have to wonder, they call you Bob. What's your name, Bob?
Yeah, right?
But Bob did not take Taffer's approach to healing very positively.
No.
Did you think Bob was justified in his exit? Bob was trying to defend the Reuben that he gave to Sam.
I mean,
the sandwich didn't suck. No, Bob, it did suck. It didn't suck.
I mean, you know what's hard? It's hard when you're a middle-aged man, and it's hard to be talked to like you're a second grader, but you behave like a second grader, so you kind of merit it. But then also, I think that he really loved the place and he loved the bar, and in his mind, that was his best.
Yeah, that can hurt your pride.
You know what I mean? Most people don't realize that people have way more in them. I mean, look at this place, Jeff.
It's true.
You know, people who work here, and I'm like, I'm pushing you because I know you have better. Now, you may not want to give better. You may not see yourself as better. But I argue with my wife all the time. I'm like, no, you think that I misread someone's talent? No, you're wrong. I see their talent. I see their ability. They don't see it themselves.
Right.
Or they don't want to do it. They don't want to put the work in to have the talent meet the expectation. But most people don't push their bodies beyond. They don't push their minds beyond,
what's comfortable.
Right. And so he, in his brain, his perspective was, it was a good sandwich and I love this place and I come in and I try hard.
Right.
And he's not lying. We've seen other people lying.
Yes.
Who are not. You are not, and I used to have in the carny business when I had, the kids work for me, I'm like, don't tell me you're trying. Now you're lying to me.
Right.
Because you're not trying, when you're doing X, Y, and Z. But I think this guy was trying. So that's why it's like, and by the way, you saw it with Jimmy, the bartender, too. He's like, wait, I am trying. I am good. All right, F this. I don't need this.
Right.
So I do understand why. But does that mean Jon was wrong? No.
No, he wasn't. And in both of these cases, he, again, classic Taffer, needed to break these guys a little bit before he could build them up again.
Yeah.
And he take their temperature perfectly,
Did you see the way she ran out? It was so sad. Like, you could see, because
she called him Bobby, which was sweet.
And I think Bobby, it's like, I look at Frank he seemed like a great guy.
Yeah.
But he was the big Papa Bear.
Right.
And these were his kids. And that was like the older sister going out to the troubled little brother.
Yeah.
And be like, Bobby, we can do it. And it was so sweet. I got so emotional. And he knew, he's right, I am burnt out. And think about it, you're at that age. And you say to yourself, I know I should be doing better, but I don't think I can at this age. It's over for me. I always go to the best Scrooge ever made, Christmas Carol, 1951, Alastair Sim.
I haven't seen that one.
And that's the only one you need to see.
Great.
All right, so please put that on your list.
Especially before tomorrow.
Before tomorrow, we're doing a big, Christmas
tease
podcast.
To come, guys. But
if you're a fan of Christmas, we're going to be launching a podcast series. Yes. Jeff and I were very excited about.
Very.
But he says in it, the Alastair Sim who plays Scrooge, as he's starting to be broken down by the spirits, he says, he finally goes from this mean guy to finally listen, I'm too old. Go find someone younger who can do this because I can't.
Wow.
And that resonates, especially, over 40, over 50. That guy was probably 60 plus. So it really resonates,
His peers are retiring.
Yeah, and you go, and so I really felt his pain.
I did, and it's one thing I have to credit Bar Rescue with is it is a show, no matter how you feel about the show. Of course, we love it, and if you're listening, you love it too, but it features a pocket of American culture that very few television shows feature. It's a really realistic look at I think the America that probably led to the reason we have the president we do. You know, it's a very specific underseen corner of our country and culture that this show really earnestly champions. Yeah. And it can be very moving in that way because you don't see it on TV a lot.
No, and I think what I also love is Jon has this ability that he knows before any of us if this is a soul worth saving.
You're right.
So you know what I mean? So that's why, like, if Jimmy wasn't worth saving, he would have said, go, get out of here. But notice how Jimmy, is that really what you want to do? And maybe, you know, do you see how he bent Jimmy, but he didn't break him? He pulled him back.
Yep.
But when Jon knows it's a shipbird, he's like, hasta la vista, get the F out. You know, so Jon always knows in the back of his head. And I don't think he's wrong.
No.
Not that I've seen. But he always knows the ones that are redeemable or not.
Yeah. And I think he probably told Vic, you know, when Bob comes back in, take it easy on him. Because Vic's like, I know Jon can be tough, but that was a sweet moment.
And also
too.
Vic, yes. And now Vic, let's talk Vic. Vic, I will tell you just Vic looks like an Italiano, like a paisan.
Yes.
And I will tell you from our culture, we're very hot-headed and then very soft. And very, very sensitive, very just-minded. And we don't normally like picking on people, you know. And then, by the way, if we think it's an act of revenge, I'll forget it. Then we'll eviscerate somebody.
There's a line.
Yeah, and then believe me, I don't subscribe to any of it anymore. But I'm just saying. So Vic seems to me, and we've gone back and forth. We've DM'd a few times. He seems like another softie.
I'm sure he is.
And I bet you he felt for him too.
Yeah.
You know, like how could you not?
Absolutely.
The guy loved the bar. He loved the owner. You know.
Well, I love this dream team. We had Graham was his partner, and I love that the show designated one glove Graham and no glove Bob.
Yeah,
I love the two of them working together. But, you know, they came around with some of these food suggestions. After our heart-to-heart and pre-stress test, we have the blue Mai Tai, which I thought looked pretty good, and a new burger, which I thought looked pretty good. I'm not jumping ahead, am I? Chicken tenders was second.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah. And I think this was a good idea to stock the kitchen and prep them in this way.
And once again, keep it simple.
Right.
They said just keep it simple. You know, which I love that. I'm the big fan of keep it simple for these guys.
One thing this episode didn't really do is lean into how disgusting this bar was.
It was pretty bad,
and
wasn't it?
We saw sort of teases of it, but they never, I think because there was so much emotional material to mine from a producing perspective, but we saw insects being teased, but never really fully developed.
Okay, here's what I think. I think that Frank dies, and I think she gets the bar, and I think she probably goes in every couple, maybe at the most 2 days a week,
right?
And takes the money. I think it's one of those deals, and you know, and literally, it's almost like everything stopped when Frank died.
Sure
everything being cleaned, everything being repaired, everything stopped. It's funny. There's a Greek guy, Jimmy. There's a place, D&G Pizza, and it's a bar back in Connecticut where we have another house, and it would be like if I think of him as he reminds me of this guy Frank. Everyone loves working for this guy, and this guy takes such pride in the food and the alcohol, and he is just a machine. Like he'll sit and talk to us for 2 minutes, and he's back up and he'll say to me, "This place can never run without me." And I'm like, I can see that. And it would be the same thing if his kids had to now just step up and take over. It would be the slow demise.
Passion can drive any business. It's a long story that I'll tell you later, but I come from a long line of undertakers. And unfortunately...
Jeff, amazing. The stuff we learn every week.
There's a Civil War component, and there's an uncle in my family who was a Union soldier who was shot, and they were going to amputate his legs, so he stole a horse and went AWOL so he could keep fighting. But as a punishment, he had to undertake the bodies that were left after Civil War battles. And he grew that punishment into a business because he was passionate about honoring the dead. So that's the Charles A. Miller Funeral Home in Cincinnati. It's such a cool story.
My jaw is open.
It's the best.
What the F are you talking about, Jeff, and why? And this is amazing. But tell me how this relates to
how it relates is, you know, that line of family was very passionate about this business, but when we lost my great grandpa Miller, he was sort of the last line of really passionate undertakers in our family. We had to turn the business over.
They say every third generation is when a business fails.
Yeah, so it's just the point I'm making is if you lose the heart and the passion behind what's driving the business, you also lose the business. Business is people at the end of the day, and people drive business.
That's right.
And that was what happened here with Frank. You're so right.
Well, look what happened at AfterBuzz.
Yeah,
when Maria got a tumor, and my mother-in-law got a tumor, and I was out of here.
Yeah.
For a long period of time. Look what happened.
Yeah.
And then I come back.
It's the spirit.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So true. This stress test I thought was good, but I kind of like when they have a measurable component to the way these stress tests are going. I wish there would have been something, but it was still an interesting. This stress test primarily was a focus on how unfortunately incompetent Doreen was.
Yeah.
She didn't have the skills.
Well, again, now he'd gotten her comfortable.
Right.
So he could start calling her out.
Yes, which he did.
And listen, if this were true to the fact that Jon comes to the idea of let's sell it, which I don't believe. I feel like it was probably for sale when they went into it, but maybe I'm wrong. But if Jon really came to that conclusion, it was nice. Like good psychologist, for example, won't tell you what you're doing wrong. They kind of lead you to the water, so you have the realization in that aha moment. So in this case, Jon could have been nice and got her to see, like, wait a second, you can see why you really can't handle this.
Right.
Okay, let's sell. Let me bring in a broker and sell it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that may have been the purpose.
Absolutely. And the one thing I didn't understand in this initial iteration of the bar was all the food was stacking up to be run. No one was taking it, but it was served in takeout boxes. Did you notice that? And that was the same with Sam and Jim's food, as it came out in white takeout boxes. To me, that's an example of, even if it's plastic trays, take a little bit of pride in the food you're serving,
I wonder, listen, I think there might be a legal reason that we don't know about, because I think Jon would have called them up.
Well, when renovated, they served the food differently, which I noticed. Okay. So they did upgrade. That's the kind of thing.
Yeah, so they didn't have. So they probably didn't have plates. I'm surprised Jon didn't point it out though to the audience.
Yeah, I mean that was something I caught, and I thought it was such an interesting way to show how they've grown. But in terms of this stress test, otherwise, the onus really fell on Doreen, and the show didn't focus on too much incompetence elsewhere.
Yeah, because it was clear.
Yeah, Vic even gave the one glove Graham and no glove Bob credit for the work they were doing back in the kitchen. Good for those guys. And this, of course, leads to a very interesting moment that we've teased in this episode, which is the very first time, which Jon acknowledges, that he has endorsed the idea of giving Doreen an out and saying, we're here to help you.
Right.
This isn't just bar rescue. This is people rescue. And I think, it might be in your best interest for us to bring in a broker. And to Jon's credit, he didn't say, you need to sell, but let's explore the option. Yeah.
And it's an emergency rescue. That's right. He had said this is a special.
Yes. And
they left another bar to do it. Mm-hmm. So, it's just a little side story which relates to bar rescue. Supposedly, Jon doesn't have control over where they go. I mean, his producers will say, we're going to this place and we're bringing these. Jon's one guy. He can't be,
right.
He can't be doing all this work on the show. He does work. When he lands, he figures out the bar thing and whatever. So I know some guy started tweeting at me, being like, F Jon Taffer, F that show. They were supposed to come do my bar, and then at the last minute they pulled the plug. And the guy was violent. And it was because it was a certain state or city that bar rescue isn't working, because typically they'll go to a city or an area and they'll do a bunch of bars in that same area just because for practical production reasons and expenses. And for whatever reason, it was like, okay, this isn't possible. We have to go to another state. So this one guy, the bar owner, took it so personally. My bar needed to be rescued, and you guys said you were gonna, and now you didn't. And so I was thinking about the other bar that got the plug pulled on them.
Yeah.
Kind of a bummer, right? Imagine, I mean, if they did, maybe it was like he left that bar and he goes back to it. I don't know.
Who knows?
But thinking about that, that drastically affects someone else's future. Just saying.
Yeah, and it's tough because from his perspective, he doesn't understand that at the end of the day, this is a production.
And what I wanted to say to that guy, I want to say to him, which I didn't respond to, but I want to say, okay, so, and so calling John an asshole, calling me an asshole, calling Bar Rescue a shit show, that's doing what for you? Right. That's going to get us to turn around and go, okay, let's go fix your bar. Because he was trying to get the show to go back there and fix his bar.
So call him an asshole.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Typical, like, by the way, and I'm saying to myself, okay, on the one hand, you're a friggin' moron, but on the other hand, you're a friggin' moron, which means you'd be great. I would love you.
It's so true.
I'd probably love to see you get your bar rescued.
Maybe he's trying to sell himself.
Well, no. He was what he was. Just your typical, like, whatever.
Well, I appreciated that Jon made this move, and it speaks to the authenticity of the show, and it speaks to...
It's a good curve, too. It's something different.
Keeps the show fresh.
Yeah.
And this ultimately leads to a renovation.
Right. Very big room, big area. I love that he kept the sign.
Yes.
It's a neon sign. Neon signs are hard to create. And I'm like, oh my God, are they going to take that down and give us what you call, you know what a box sign is, Jeff?
You mean when it's one unit?
It's just a light box. It's basically...
We have one, the AfterBuzz.
Yeah. It's a lot, but even with ours, I put a neon around it.
Right.
You notice the yellow accent. But yeah, so I'm like, oh God, so didn't take that down, which was great. And they just put, the windows, which I think is great. It showed the big place. And you know what else was interesting? Did you see how they prepared for which we didn't get into, when they prepared for the for the stress test? Did you see how many beer things they rolled out?
You mean the kegs and stuff?
No, they rolled out. So there's these big plastic coolers on wheels that will hold one row of beer. And they had these all out and iced. It was almost like, we're going to war.
That.
We know 200 people are going to show up. We're going to be ready. But no one meant, I think they did like an overkill. And then Jon found all the other mistakes they're making. Just pointing that out.
Yeah.
But this was a big bar.
Yeah, so to quickly remind you guys, it actually had 2 bars, which I thought was a really interesting layout.
Yeah.
And most of the seating sort of parted the Red Sea of the 2 bars. It was in the middle of the bar. And thematically, what I love is Jon kind of took those 2 sides where each bar was and created like a red versus blue dynamic, where we had the loungy kind of upscale leathery side of the bar and sort of the cooler blue like nightclub feel side of the bar.
It was, it was very anti-Taffer.
In what way?
There was a lot going on. And normally I felt like he'd walk into a bar like that and criticize him.
Well, that was Jon's update.
Yes, and I feel like if he walked into that bar, are you a nightclub or you're a bar?
That's true.
Are you a family restaurant?
It's a good point.
Or a nightclub? But I liked it, just like I liked donkey balls and whatever the other thing was.
Oh, the green walls.
Green walls and I like when we do stuff that's different. Why not?
Well, we haven't had sort of a gimmick in a while, and I mean that affectionately.
Yeah, no, and I think I send Jon texts and things about the show, and I love it. But yeah, I'm so big on the renovations, and I love when we bring in the gimmicks.
Yeah, I think so too.
I love the gimmicks because to me, anyone can paint a wall and put up some brick and put in a new. But when you do those extra little things, features. This is cool.
Definitely. And I love they have this running line with scorekeeping circles that you can like swing across from your side of the bar if they're drinking games.
That was cool. Yeah, I liked it. So I love that he did it. I'm just saying that he made all those different features. But I'm just saying, if he walked into that bar and renovated it, he'd be the first one criticizing them.
It's true. It's a good point.
But I loved it. I thought it was great.
And
obviously it's a success.
And
they're making money and they sell it. The end. So tell me, what are you going to do now? Taffer takeaways?
We'll quickly do our Taffer takeaways. I know you guys are on the edge of your seats for our bar rescue updates, but we're getting there. My Taffer takeaway would be meet people where they're at. That's always what Jon can do, I think he knew that he had to meet this woman where she was at. He had to deal with what is, as Kevin says.
Yeah.
And she wasn't ready to have her head ripped off. It would have broken her.
I think even in coaching, I'm learning that too now.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think anymore what is best for the person anymore. I think more of what can they handle. Even if there's a way better course on, but they just can't do it.
Right.
They just can't. So what can we come up with within their limitations?
Yeah. So great lessons from Jon as every week. And here we have to get into it, guys.
You're either a moron or you don't care. What is it, Jeff?
I mean, is there a third option, Kevin?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our news, J-Lo.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So this is our weekly bar rescue update section. I will say, Kev, not quite as much information as we sometimes get on our reliable website, Bar Rescue Updates, but things, I will say, a lot more negative reviews than positive reviews. Ooh. Let's start with the positives. Great service, clean place, and pretty good food. Seemed to be a decent crowd, lots of TVs and music, and also great food, drinks, and a great bar staff. Atmosphere definitely improved after they started not allowing smoking. That's good. I miss some of the old character of the bar, but I still love coming here.
Ugh, they cut out the smoking, thank God.
I know. So...
Ugh.
This is negative, guys.
Uh-oh.
We were visiting from North Carolina. My husband is from Buffalo, so we were excited to try this place.
Okay.
During our first visit in March, which is post-renovation,
all right,
we were really looking forward to a great experience after following the bar rescue hype. The wings were good. Service was horrible. We visited the same area again last week and decided to give it one more shot. Bad idea. We walked in the front door, past all of the smokers standing near the front door, and encountered vape smoke everywhere and drones flying throughout the establishment.
Wow, okay.
The place was super nice inside, but obviously not being used to its full potential. It's really disappointing after being, quote, rescued. For starters, this place was filthy, so it sounds like they haven't updated their cleaning regimen. The place itself could be really nice, but it's just too large and open with 2 bars, and the owner, Doreen, this says Darlene, but...
Okay, yeah.
Darlene was pleasant, but the filth was too much. The surfaces are slimy, it stinks like smoke, and the bathrooms were gross. We were there for an event, so we rode out. Changes in the bar look nice, but it takes away from what the bar used to be.
Oh, that's just a hater.
New staff not so friendly.
Yeah, that's a moron. That's someone who's just living in the past.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Okay, so who owns the bar?
That's what I haven't. It doesn't look like. So in terms of other news, what we have is Bar Rescue made Buffalo City Bar and Grill, BCBG, a non-smoking bar.
Well, we didn't even mention that. I wonder if they were playing off CBGB. Which is the famous nightclub in the big in the 60s and 70s. It broke so many acts. Historic, now bought by John Varvatos, and I think his like just showroom.
I'm sure they were BCBG, CBCG,
CBGB.
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
I'm sorry if I'm screwing it up, guys, but you know what I mean. I think it was. Anyway, so I wanted to mention that.
Here we go. Buffalo City Bar and Grill is under new management, according to this Facebook post, which says, if you have not heard the news, Buffalo City is under new management, with some new specials and new bartenders, lots of great things coming, and new and improved menu coming soon. Come check us out. BCBG said that the son, Frankie, is now running the bar, so still in the family, but passed on to presumably Doreen's sister. Frank, I guess that would be Frank the second.
No, but sister, brother, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. So Doreen's brother, Frankie.
So maybe sold to him?
Yeah, or maybe not sold, but just reallocated to family. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. And like maybe, I think maybe to pay off the whole sale of it, they wrote in the bar's been sold, but maybe it wasn't a cash exchange with the brother taking it.
Yeah. We conclude with the reviews for BCBG since the makeover have been pretty negative overall, of people complaining about the food, service, and that the Bar Rescue makeover staff is no longer there. It's now under new management with Frankie III running the bar. Frankie is Doreen's brother, and it seems like a welcome change by customers. So
okay, yeah, maybe he came in with a new agenda, a new team.
Yeah. So we'll have to stay tuned. If you guys are, we know a lot of you guys are watching our after show.
Yeah, we keep hearing from the owners.
If you are Doreen, Frankie, if you want to comment on our thoughts in this after show, we'd love to get an update on how things are going.
Yeah, please let us know.
We know it's been a tough run for you guys the last couple of years, which we sympathize and empathize with. So we do wish you guys the best, and I would love to see you guys thrive.
And then predictions for next week. Did you see?
I caught a little bit, guys.
All right.
I finally did.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Do you think it's a good idea to hold a cigarette above an open beer?
Yes,
I do too.
You know
Smoky
what?
flavor.
Every time we just go to the smokers' bars, you just know. I'm telling you, there's something about a smoker's bar that just is conducive with filth and apathy and bitterness and just there's just something part and parcel.
I think having a cigarette in your hand is sort of the equivalent of having a tattoo on your forehead that says, I've given up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, even like I just remember even making movies like everyone on Smoke Break. It was not the happy people.
Right.
It was just bitching, pissing, and moaning about like, you know, there's that episode of Friends, the famous one where Jennifer Aniston's left out because she's not going on smoke break. And so she picks up smoking just so she can be in. And that, you know, the writers created that.
Oh, yeah.
Based on the fact that certain writers were going out to do smoke breaks with the executive producers.
I've done that once with the showrunner. But she's so new. And I think it was endearing to her. But I walked out and I was like, yeah, you know, I'll bum a cigarette. And I was talking to her and I'm going, yeah. But I couldn't handle it.
That's hilarious.
Just adorably trying.
I also think I used to have a friend who used to do, I'm going on smoke break and didn't smoke.
Right.
But he was like, why do you guys get to leave
I'll take a break
for 10, 15 minutes every half hour?
I'll do seltzer water breaks because I'm the seltzer water monster here at the network.
You are. And then, Jeff, it's fine, but you don't replenish it. And I'm starting to think it's a practical joke you play on me every Friday. When
I'm getting better. I'm working on it, Kev.
But anyway, I think so. Entertainment value wise, when we go to the smokers bars, it just seems part and parcel. But then these are the bars that the young man in me is not excited. Because there's certain bars that John does, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to go back to drinking so bad. I mean, I drink, but I don't drink.
Party.
I don't party like I used to. And some of these rescues, I'm like, oh my God, get me on an Uber now. Get me to a bar. I want to start drinking. I want music. I want lights. I want And then when I see these smokers bars, I'm like, make me vomit.
Right.
I don't want to be anywhere near this. I don't miss coming home and showering. And as soon as the water hit your hair, Kev, the smell of smoke comes out. I mean, do you remember any smokers bars, Jeff?
I do.
You're a younger guy.
You can't really take the existential dread out of a smokers bar. You know, you can clean it up, but there's going to be something intangible there.
Yeah. In the Midwest, do they have smokers bars?
Yeah, they did. And again, I'm a little young, but I think I grew up in such a conventional picket fence goy family that we probably didn't even really see them. You know, it was I remember on one vacation my mom pleaded for the family not to sleep in the smokers hotel room, but it's tough. It is tough. Right? You wake up and you're sick for the rest of your vacation.
It's so gross. Anyway, I don't know, to each their own, but anyway.
We'll see. It could be a great
next week
episode.
is going to be it's going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be good.
Anyone like the cigarette and the beer? That's beautiful.
And of course, if you guys want to tune in, which we highly advise that you do for the Bar Rescue After Show, we go live on Monday afternoons, Kevin and I, and we are just as obsessed with the show as you are. And quickly, guys, I do want to say that this isn't the only show we plug at the only show we cover at the network. We cover just about everything that's airing on television. Last night, we aired our debut after show for season 2 of Succession, which is kind of quietly becoming HBO's new critical darling, nominated for a ton of Emmys. And if you guys like, prestige television, check out that show and check out our after show and anything else we're covering. And what would really help us, guys, if you would hit that subscribe button on this channel right now. I'm going to wait for you to do it. All right,
my finger just showing how to. Yeah.
Yes, for you podcast listeners, we are showing you how to hit the subscribe button. And if you're a podcast listener, not a YouTube watcher, it really, really helps us to give us 5 stars on iTunes, guys. I've been checking our page, and we're waiting for that great review. And I will read it on air, and I will plug your social media.
Yes,
because I know that's currency.
You know what's going on with us? We have such an abundance of content that Apple. We're in touch with Apple, and to produce 150 hours a week as a network, it's really hard for Apple Podcasts to, and before when it was iTunes, it was always so difficult to accommodate us. And we've been talking with them, and they're finding, means in which. So the problem is we don't come up in search engine optimization.
Right.
So that's why, it's been challenging.
But you're subscribed, so we know you know where to find us. So give us those 5 stars, and thanks so much for tuning in, guys. This is your Bar Rescue After Show. My name is Jeff Graham, and I thank you so much for joining us. If you want to catch me on Twitter, you can do that at Jeffrey C. Graham, or check out my daily coverage of breaking news in the Bachelor franchise.
Oh, yeah, you are Captain Bachelor.
Captain Bachelor. We have photos of Ashley I and Jared H's wedding, which was this weekend.
Ashley... Aya Canetti's been here many times.
She is, yeah. She's a friend of the networks. We love Ashley I here. And very happy for them. Christina Zias was at the wedding.
Oh, really? How did Christina know them?
She, AfterBuzz helps. AfterBuzz helps, Kev. and she's been hosting our after show.
Oh, for Bachelor?
Yes.
Wow, and they invited her. Oh, that's so
Pretty
cool.
Yeah, so very happy for her. She'll be on our Paradise after show tomorrow to spill some inside details.
Love it.
Love
You
it.
should have her do your Bachelor 90 Day with you.
It's a great idea.
Your Bachelor Daily News
She'd be awesome.
show.
She's great at prompt.
All right, make that happen.
Will do.
Until then.
Kev, cut.
At Undergaro, you can check me out on the Tomorrow Show.
You should.
You should, please, if you could. And that's all. That's all, folks.
That's all, folks. We're getting out of here. We'll see you next week here on the Bar Rescue After Show. Bye, guys.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.